As we all know, the best tower in TDX is Ranger, but for some reason, I'm not seeing it in any strategies for the TB event. So here returns Ranger Best Tower, bent on proving to you and Vicious X that the current meta is Ranger, not some turret. He'll also be doing 2 other challenges, making sure to bring Ranger, of course. With that, let's begin. The first challenge was simple. I needed to solo Nightmare mode. This was pretty much my first time actually playing the event. I basically only played with strategies to grind the ridiculously grindy battle pass. Like, I am not grinding 12.5k tokens for not even 1 level. I went in with this loadout feeling pretty confident since I had Ranger at my side. I used Slammer for the early game, which was very OP with its cheap area damage. I also brought Operator since I had seen it used a lot. Boss 1 got pretty much shredded by the operators. I placed an artillery after, which seems to just come back into the meta every event. It easily shredded the Necromancer, but I barely clutched the Shadow Boss. But you know, I'm a pro at microing already. Unfortunately, I wasn't good enough to stop the 3 shadow bosses, resulting in my first loss. I did 2 other attempts right after, garnering similar results. I ended up calling it a day, but don't worry, challenge 1 will be back. For now, let's head on to challenge 2. And that challenge is Nightmare using only tower battle skins. Technically, Operator, Juggernaut, and some other towers have skins, but those are Robux, so I'm not counting them. I gathered a team from my Discord server, which you should join by the way, and we got into a round. I did the early game with Slammer, and since we weren't using Operator, we leaked a bit. Newbest got a golden scout before we leaked anymore, but can we take a moment to appreciate how stunning the skin is? The animation in our early models are absolutely immaculate. I'm totally not biased because it's Golden Ranger. Anyways, the Golden Scout managed to shred the normal bosses just fine, though Lavas posed a bit more of a threat. Thankfully, we got Zeds to deal with them with their DPS and tanky health. I also got a top pad Slammer for its splash and stun. Boss 2 ended up getting shredded quickly. Bro's basically a cash cow. Anyway, let's skip all this boring stuff, and we died a Shadow Boss spam on wave 26, our first loss. Our next attempt, we only have 1 Golden Scout for Lavas, resulting in another loss. On our next attempt, we end up shredding the Shadow Bosses, though we don't kill the Necromancer boss in time and get overwhelmed by summons. By now, my morale was pretty low, though little did I know that our next attempt would be our final one. We ended up cooking the Necromancer boss this time, and we ended up making it to the Void himself. We were using Railgunners as our main DPS, and it was weirdly efficient. He ended up dying only about halfway down the track, giving us our win. This also ended up being the final round I needed to get Warship, which was very cool. I'd also like to credit Newbest for the concept of this challenge. Thanks, man. Anyways, let's move on to the main show. Rangers versus the Void. I gathered a team of 2 of my channel members for this one, and we entered the round. We had all 3 Ranger types placed in the early game, and we handled Boss 1 just fine. Even into the mid game, the Rangers had done great, until we lost the mysteries due to the lack of splash. This attempt, I ended up stealing the G-Ranger placement, which one way or another ended up making us lose. For some reason, a GZ was wasted on our next attempt for an enemy we could tank, for whatever reason. Nearing the late game, our defense was much better built up, and we shredded the waves. We ended up being forced to bring a Striker Rush for Boss 3s, though I never explicitly said we couldn't use power-ups, so it was fine. The Necromancer boss pushed our defense a bit, but was still shredded. We even ended up making it to the Void this attempt. I was a bit worried since our defense wasn't crazy powerful, and I had to use a health circle to keep them alive. But we were shredding his health surprisingly fast, and though he died to a GZ, we most definitely could have killed him without it. We decided we wanted to attempt Nightmare just to see, but we allowed supports this time. We swiftly lost before even wave 10. After making some alterations in our loadouts, we got a 14 member in Doge Knight, but we only got a little bit further. Overall, this challenge was pretty easy ignoring Nightmare, but there was still one challenge I'd forgotten. I still needed to solo Nightmare. After many more losses and some support from Darkspear and Lil Gala, who I was on VC with at the time, I got this run. It's sped up, but if you're too bored, skip to this timestamp. Anyway, let's get straight to it. Well, that's all 3 challenges completed. Overall, this event was one of the best TDX updates so far, and I'm excited to see what's next. Hopefully, I'm not as late to the next big update as I was to this one. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.